Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a look at something that I think you'll find particularly interesting, and that is the career of Dan Lay.
Oh, absolutely.
So Dan Lay, for those of you who don't know, is a creative director based in Ho Chi Minh City.
Yes.
And for this deep dive, we are using his online resume and portfolio, which really is, I think, a carefully curated story
Absolutely.
of his professional life. And what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into that and see what we can learn from his career trajectory and his experience and see what lessons we can apply to our own careers and our own lives.
Yeah, and the great thing about this deep dive is that it's not just like a list of jobs,
Yeah.
We can really analyze how he is presenting himself and his skills and experiences, and I think that's really valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so starting right at the very beginning, his very first listed work experience is as a graphic designer at Dem Trang Home,
Okay.
which, fair enough.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty straightforward graphic design role. But what I found interesting is that he actually has a Bachelor of Architecture degree.
Oh.
So I'm curious, from your perspective as an expert, is there a connection between architecture and design?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, architecture is all about like spatial awareness and visual hierarchy
Okay.
and understanding how people are going to interact with their environment, right?
Sure.
I mean, these principles are directly applicable to design. Like, think about if you're designing a website. You're essentially creating a digital space, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And you're kind of guiding users through their experience.
Right.
Just like an architect would think about, okay, how are people going to move through this building? Where are the entrances and exits? Where are the bottlenecks? A designer is thinking about the same things for like a website or an app.
Oh, so it's like almost like user flow.
Exactly. User flow and intuitive navigation.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's like he's designing an experience, not just like visuals. And then speaking of experiences, after he honed his skills at Dem Trang Home, he moved on to designing for high-end magazines at Indochine Media Ventures.
Oh, wow.
So I imagine working with those sorts of luxury brands really brought a whole new level of sophistication to his work, right?
For sure. Yeah. Luxury brands are all about the details.
Yeah.
They have very specific target audience. And so you need to understand that audience deeply. And then you need to have that like very refined aesthetic, right? That the brand is known for. So I imagine, working with those kinds of clients, probably high profile clients as well,
Sure.
really pushed him to develop those skills even further.
Yeah. I mean, we're really seeing this foundation being built,
Yeah.
right? Very strong design principles, working with this very discerning clientele. So where does he go after that?
Well, this is interesting because he moves to Bangkok to become a senior graphic designer at Brio CG Corporation.
Okay.
So not only is it a geographical move, but it's also a period of like specialization for him, I think.
Oh, how so?
Well, at Brio CG, his focus shifted to branding and identity design. He was also creating marketing materials, even doing some print design. So it suggests that he's getting even better at what he does.
Okay.
And he's able to work across different mediums as well.
That's a big leap, right? Like taking those skills to a new country and doing more specialized design work.
Absolutely. I think it shows he's not afraid to step outside of his comfort zone.
He's not afraid to take risks.
Yeah. And this time at Brio CG was probably really important for his development as a designer, learning to think strategically and solve design problems in a new environment.
Makes sense. And then he returns to Ho Chi Minh City, but he doesn't go back to the same kind of design role.
You're right.
He becomes the Vietnam creative group lead at Grab,
Interesting.
which seems like a pretty big jump into leadership, managing a team and that sort of thing.
It is, yeah. It shows how he's moving beyond just doing the design work himself.
Right.
At Grab, he was responsible for localizing their brand.
What does that even mean?
It basically means taking a global brand and making it relevant to a specific cultural context.
Oh, I see.
So you need to understand the culture, the values, the preferences of the Vietnamese market and figure out how to make Grab's brand resonate with them.
Okay.
On top of that, he was leading a team of creatives and collaborating with different departments.
Wow. So he's managing people, thinking strategically about brands, and dealing with cultural nuances.
Exactly. It's a pretty diverse skill set he's building up.
Yeah, it is. But then, this is what really caught my eye. He co-founded Dear Tea House,
Oh, tell me about this.
which is described as Vietnam's first concept tea house. And it just sounds so intriguing. Do you know anything more about this venture?
Well, it looks like he's really embracing his entrepreneurial spirit here. He's not just working for a brand, he's building one from scratch. And Do Tea House is not your average tea house. It's about creating an experience. It's like a blend of Vietnamese culture and modern design.
So like what? He's designing the space itself.
I think so, yeah. He's probably involved in everything from the interior design and the ambiance to the tea selection, the branding. He even collaborates with local artists to make it a unique experience.
That's amazing. He's using all his design knowledge, his brand strategy experience, and his leadership skills to create something totally new.
Exactly. It sounds like he's really passionate about this project.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's where I was completely blown away. During the same time period, he also became head of creative at Tap Tap Vietnam.
Wow. How did he manage both?
I know, right? I'm exhausted just thinking about it. So tell me, what was he doing at Tap Tap?
Well, it seems like he was leading a whole team of creatives there, developing brand identities for different clients, executing marketing campaigns, and even consulting on UI/UX design.
Okay, so remind me, what is UI/UX?
It's all about making sure that websites and apps are easy to use and enjoyable to interact with.
Oh, okay.
So this role really highlights how versatile he is, being able to adapt his skills to all these different projects.
Hold on. So he's running a startup, leading a creative team, and consulting on digital experiences.
All at the same time. He's a creative powerhouse.
He really is. But even with all that going on, he eventually moves on to his current role as creative manager at Yes for All Holdings, Inc. What's he focusing on there?
Well, it seems like he's taking his branding and leadership experience to a much larger organization. He's spearheading rebranding initiatives for multiple brands that are under the Yes for All umbrella.
So what kinds of brands are we talking about?
It's actually pretty diverse. Sporting goods, furniture, even pet furniture.
Wow. So he's working across all these different industries.
Exactly. It shows he can adapt his creative vision to fit different brand identities and target audiences.
Okay, so we've covered a lot already. And it's clear that Dan Liz's career path is not a straight line.
It's more like a jungle gym, right?
Yeah. He's constantly evolving, exploring new things, and building on what he's learned. Before we move on to unpack some of the key takeaways from his journey, I'm curious about your thoughts on his decision to co-found Dear Tea House. What do you think drew him to that venture?
That's a great question. I mean, we can't know for sure what was going through his mind.
Right.
But I think it speaks to a desire to create something tangible, something that really reflects his own vision and his values.
Yeah.
He's not just designing logos or marketing materials anymore. He's crafting a whole experience, a world that people can step into.
Oh, wow.
It's really a testament to his creative drive, I think.
Yeah, it seems like he's always searching for new ways to use his creativity.
Yeah.
To really make an impact,
Absolutely. And that brings us to an interesting point. His career isn't just about moving up the ladder. It's about pursuing his passions, exploring new things, and constantly growing.
That's a really powerful observation.
Yeah.
It's about creating a career that's both fulfilling and impactful. And that's a perfect segue to our next discussion, where we'll dive deeper into some of the key themes and lessons we can all learn from Dan Liz's journey.
Looking forward to it.
And how those insights might be relevant to you and your own career aspirations.
Great. So looking back at Dan Liz's career, one thing that really stands out is his adaptability. He's constantly evolving, going from graphic design to branding to leadership, even starting his own business and doing UI/UX consulting.
Yeah, it's amazing how he just seems to be able to navigate all these different areas.
Right.
It makes me think about how valuable transferable skills are these days.
Totally.
So what do you think, what's a crucial skill that's helped him be successful in such different roles?
I think it's his ability to connect design thinking to practical problems, no matter what the industry. Remember, he studied architecture.
Yeah.
Those principles he learned, things like spatial awareness and understanding user flow, they apply whether he's designing a tea house, a brand identity, or a user interface for an app.
You're right. It's like he's always thinking about how people are going to interact with what he creates, whether it's a physical space or a digital one.
Exactly. And if we look at his work with Dear Tea House, we can really see that user-centric approach in action.
Oh, how so?
Well, he didn't just create a place to drink tea, he designed a whole experience. The interior, the tea selection, even the collaboration with local artists, it all contributes to the atmosphere.
It's like he designed a world, not just a tea house.
Right.
It makes me wonder, is there a connection between this and his work on brand localization at Grab?
Ooh, that's a great point.
They both seem to involve really understanding an audience and tailoring the experience to them.
You're absolutely right. Both brand localization and designing an immersive experience like Dear Tea House require a deep understanding of the target audience.
Okay.
With Grab, he needed to understand the Vietnamese market and how to make a global brand feel local.
Right.
And with Dear Tea House, he's tapping into Vietnamese culture and traditions, but presenting them in a modern way.
Wow, that's fascinating. It shows how these seemingly different experiences can actually inform each other.
Yeah.
It makes me want to look back at my own resume and see if there are connections I haven't even thought of.
I think that's a great idea. We tend to compartmentalize our experiences,
Yeah.
but sometimes the best insights come from connecting the dots.
And it makes me think about the courage it takes to just step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Dan Lilly moved to a new country, started his own business, and he's always taking on new challenges.
That willingness to embrace the unknown is definitely something we can all learn from.
Totally. But it's also interesting how his path wasn't linear. It's not like he had a specific goal in mind from the beginning.
No.
It seems like he's driven by curiosity,
Yeah.
and a desire to learn and grow.
That's such an important point.
Yeah,
There's so much pressure to have a 5-year plan, a perfect career trajectory.
right.
But Dana Lynch shows us that it's okay to embrace uncertainty, to be open to new opportunities.
It's inspiring, really.
It is.
It reminds us that we don't have to have everything figured out.
No, not at all.
We can be guided by our passions and our skills and be open to learning along the way.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, one thing that stands out to me is Dan List's commitment to continuous growth.
Oh, yeah.
He's not content with what he already knows. He's always expanding his skill set.
That's right. From graphic design to UI UX, he's always learning.
And in today's world, that mindset is more important than ever.
I agree. We can't just rely on what we learned in school.
Definitely no.
We have to keep learning and adapting to stay relevant.
It's about being curious, being hungry for knowledge,
Yeah.
being open to new ways of thinking.
So we've talked about adaptability,
Yeah.
the courage to try new things, the importance of user-centric design, and a commitment to learning.
It's a lot.
It is. So as we start wrapping up this deep dive, what do you think is the most relevant takeaway for our listeners?
I think one of the biggest lessons is that a career isn't just about climbing a ladder. It's about building a portfolio of experiences.
Ooh, I like that.
It's about having a diverse set of skills, taking on challenges, and always looking for opportunities to grow.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about a straight line. It's about a journey.
Exactly.
A journey that's full of different experiences, skills, and a love of learning.
And that's a really powerful message, I think, for anyone who's listening.
It really is. It reminds us that our careers can be dynamic, always changing, just like we are as people.
Yeah, exactly. It's about enjoying the journey, even the ups and downs, and realizing that each experience, each challenge, helps make us who we are professionally.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Dan Lee's career, I want to leave our listeners with one question to think about.
Okay.
Okay, remember we talked about his diverse skill set, from graphic design to branding to leadership. What one skill or experience stands out to you as being the most crucial to his success? And why does that resonate with you personally?
That's a tough one.
It is. Was it his architectural background, which really gave him that strong foundation in design thinking? Or was it his decision to move to Bangkok, showing his adaptability and willingness to try new things?
Maybe it's his entrepreneurial spirit, building something from scratch with Dear Tea House.
Right.
Or maybe it's his commitment to always learning and growing, staying ahead of the game in the design world.
Whatever it is for you, I think it's a really valuable exercise to reflect on that.
Definitely.
Think about what parts of his journey connect with your own goals and ambitions.
Yeah, and remember, your career doesn't have to be a straight line.
Oh.
Embrace the unexpected turns, the tough challenges, and those moments of discovery that shape your own path.
I love that. Take inspiration from Dan Lid's story and create a career that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you learned something valuable today and got a fresh perspective on what's possible in your own career. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep creating.